Fresh out the oven, straight to the bank. Ben's Hager smelling like bang. Seats, somebody died on them. Kitty looking like somebody cried on it. Ooh, what you looking at? What you looking at? Body lights in the mirror. Icing on the top, if you got it, let's go.
Hello.
Hello.
Everyone, come on in the living room.
Yes.
Y'all see us going? We live for another No Bra Wednesday. Oh my goodness. What I got to say? This we getting to the end of October, so I want to remind everyone to get your titties checked. It is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, so
Yes,
if you've not got a
is.
mammogram and you're over 40, get your titties checked today, and encourage your man to, or you whoever your significant other,
Yes.
to do an exam. It could be fun. It could be real fun. So,
Exams can be
enough
fun.
on the titty tip. So what are we talking about today? We are talking about co-parenting, the good, the bad, and the healthy. We did not want to say the ugly because we want to talk about the healthy. We have some wonderful co-parenting panelists who have bravely come to the living room to share their stories and their wisdom. So I'm going to pass it on to my co-host, Sonia, the sexologist.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I am Sonia, the sensuous certified sexologist, and I am here for this conversation because I'm all after we get finished making the babies. Now we got to make sure we raise them. So,
Raise
so
babies,
then
yeah.
my job is done. We've gotten the babies into the world, so now we get to talk about the parenting. Just as a reminder to everybody, we go live every Wednesday for No Bra Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern, where we let our girls loose, and we say it with our breasts wet because these breasts have wisdom. And as Pastel said, that's why we want to protect the breasts and have them checked. But we know that there's always some wisdom once the girls get loose. So we are excited. Just as a reminder, on the first Wednesday of each month, we either are doing Shooting the Shit with Sonia and Paz, where we talk about current events and things that are going on in our worlds. Or we're doing Ask Your Daddy, where we have the men in the room and we hear them talk about, we shoot the shit with the fellas. So that's the first Wednesday of each month. The second Wednesday of each month, it is Cocktails with a Sexologist, where I get a chance to make sure we light the fire in that bedroom. And then the last Wednesday of the month, of course, we always are talking about getting your money together with Money Moves with Pots. And so, speaking of which, next Wednesday, we will be having our Money Moves with Pots, and that is the art of using other people's money, business credit 101. You do not want to miss that if you have a business, because we're going to be talking about how to use or get the resources you need to do what you need to do with your business. So as Pastor said, we have some powerful parents in the room, so I cannot wait. And they're all, not they're all. We do have one that's not a veteran to the room. So actually, we're going to get started with them. I'm going to let Julian and Stephanie. Julian is a veteran to the No Bra Wednesday. He's been on the show before. Stephanie is his wife, who is a newbie. So we're excited to have you on. If you two could take an opportunity to introduce yourselves.
Sure. I'm Stephanie Brown, new to the live room. Happy Wednesday. I didn't get the memo about no bras. I'm not happy about that, but later. Happy to be here, Dr. Paz, to the ladies in the room and gentlemen. Good evening to you all, and can't wait to get started into the conversation.
Yeah, we're happy to have you. Julian.
Hey, Julian Brown, her husband. Happy to be here again. Looking forward to some healthy dialogue and discourse with the panel tonight.
Awesome. Well, thank you. We are glad that you guys have decided to join us. And we are welcoming Mr. Frank Love, aka Yao Tyus, who has been on the show before. Yao, take a few minutes and tell everybody who you are and what you are about, sir.
I am Yao Tyus, aka Frank Love. I am a husband, father of 5, and I'm your brother. I may be your older brother, I may be your younger brother, but I'm your brother, and I love you, and I want to see your relationship be successful, and I want to help you create a loving culture in your relationship. and that's what I do.
All right. All right. So thank you, Yao. And last but not least, we have Miss Corinne Hamilton, Miss Master Connector. Corinne, introduce yourself and tell our audience who you are.
Hey, girl. Hey. I'm Corinne Hamilton, and I consider myself a master connector because I'm always listening to folks, what their vision is and what their need to be supported with. And I know somebody know everything. So it's nice to be able to put the people with the resources that they need, regardless of what they are. And I love the teamwork sign behind the Browns. So that's perfect for tonight.
Yes, yes, yes. Well, we are delighted that all of you have decided to join us. And actually, once we get into the conversation, we would like to hear a little bit more about who you are parenting. So when you get a chance to start introducing yourself, when you get a chance to speak, tell us about the babies and about how many you are working with or parent of. So I'm going to pass it over to Pascal. And I know she has some specific questions over there she wanted to get started with.
Well, we're talking about the good, the bad, and the ugly, right?
Yes,
No,
yes,
no,
we
not
are.
the ugly, the healthy.
Yeah,
Excuse me.
I got some ugly
right,
now.
right, right. Yeah, we know that they can be ugly,
And
and
we
we know.
had the two negative, the bad, and we're gonna say the healthy. So, I'll start off with y'all. So, what are some good aspects of your co-parenting situation? And please tell us how you said you were the father of five. So, I just want to remind everyone of that.
Okay, so I have a 23-year-old, a eight, what is it? 23, 18, 15, 12, and 9-year-olds. And I co-parent with two different women. The 18 and the 23-year-old are with my former wife, and the other three are with my current wife.
Got it, got it. So, as Pa said, tell us some of what you've experienced in terms of the good about co-parenting. What are some that you've run into in your 23 years of co-parenting?
Well, the easy good is that you can't do it without them. I mean, from the time of inception on, you can't do it without a co-parent. Now, the other part, once the children are here, then the good is you're watering a plant every day. You're you're feeding something every day, and you get a chance to you get to be creative. You have to respect your partner. You have to understand that your partner is most likely going to do things different than you will. Um, you get to respect the difference between male energy and female energy. It's a lot going on. All of that's good.
Got
Okay.
it, got it, got it.
All right. So, we're Corinne. Is she
Yes,
frozen?
there.
Oh, you're not frozen. You're just so pretty. It's Damn, is she
She's
frozen?
just hanging out.
Ooh. Mm.
Hmm.
So, what's some of the good in your? Well, tell us about your co-parenting situation.
Yeah.
First of
I
all,
got all the kids. I have three girls, 26, 22, and 9. The 26 and the 22-year-old are with my ex-husband, and my 9-year-old is with my ex-wife. And so there's like a retrospective experience of the 26 and the 22-year-old, and there's the current experience of basically 5 to 6 parents with this one 9-year-old. So it's a lot going on.
5 to 6.
Yeah, yeah.
I say
Explain that,
6.
Corinne.
She says, when I told her, how do you feel about having 6 parents? She said, I only have 5. So I said, okay, I
Oh,
honor that.
oh, no, she
Okay.
didn't.
So
Yeah,
how do you all make that work with 5 different influences in your 9-year-old's life?
yeah, that part. Yeah.
That part, yeah.
So explain how it kind of came into being, Corinne, so that people have an idea of
Yeah,
what
sure.
that meant.
Yeah, sure. So I was married to my wife at the time, and we decided to add a child to our family. And I had the 2 girls, and they were younger. And then we decided we're not dads, so we need dads. And we talked about not having dads or finding other male influences, but decided to actually invite 2 gentlemen that were married and to co-parent with us. Took them out to eat. made the invitation and said, hey, what do you think about this? They said, let me go home and pray about it. And they came back and said, we're in. And so my ex-wife and one of the fathers are the biological parents. And then there's the other two of us that are non-biological. And then subsequently, my wife and I got divorced. The gentleman is still married. I got remarried. 4 + 2 = 6. Oh, and my ex-wife got remarried. So that's how we get to 6.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's
So
a creative.
what's working in that relationship?
What's working is that my daughter is brilliant. When you think about two people and their gifts and their talents and the exposure that a child gets from two people and their vulnerabilities and the things that they can pour into a child, multiply that times 6 people. We have chefs and we have people in astrology and we have, people who sing and people who write code and have a mindfulness app according with Microsoft. And we have people that are vulnerable and funny, and some people that are we have other things in our personality that she learns from that aren't necessarily positive either. So how to navigate that as well. So there's a lot of good in having support, and then financially, it's more people. Time wise, it's
Oh,
more
that's sweet.
people. So yeah, she
Mhm.
has exposure to more things and people who aren't necessarily wiped out. Because the first two I raised mostly by myself, and I was tired all the time.
Mhm. Okay.
Got it.
I was not expecting that. Damn.
I know you long time. You don't know this story.
No, I didn't know it was
Okay.
5,
Well,
6.
welcome to my life.
I did not. I didn't. But when you say it like that, I just never added it up. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
Mhm.
it just feels like it's. You think of the 2,
Right.
or the 4,
Yeah.
6. Yeah, I didn't put it all, but it makes sense. It makes perfect sense. If you have
And just a
people
little
like that.
addition on the good with the older two, because that was just the two of us. I had a lot of autonomy with that. And so I enjoyed um, allowing myself to let him parent in the way that he did when I was actually resistant to that at first. And I found a lot of value in them having a different perspective. So I feel like a veteran on this side because I already did the thing, over there with the older two.
Got you. Okay.
Got it. All right.
Auntie Browns, what's your situation?
All right, you wanna go?
Go ahead.
Yeah. So we are parents of 5. We're a blended family. Obviously, I have 3 daughters from my ex-wife. They are 26, 25, and 18. Then I have a son who is 11 from an ex-girlfriend. And then, of course, I have my bonus daughter with Stephanie, Ashley, who is going to be 20 next
Mm.
week.
Next week.
Okay.
Weeks.
Awesome. Awesome.
Um, the challenges, and you were talking about the good, the bad, and the healthy. The part with my ex ex-wife and those children and my bonus daughter, all of that is love. We do things together. We celebrate together. It's hugs and greetings, warm greetings every time we see each other. It's what a blended family should be when it comes to raising these babies. It's about the babies. Then you have other situations where it is ugly, and that would be my son's mother. But we're not talking about that tonight, so we'll just keep it
No,
positive.
we're talking about it. No,
Yeah, we talk about the bad. Yeah, we are talking about. We just didn't want to. We
now.
didn't want to
We gonna talk
emphasize the
about it.
ugly.
You
Oh, okay.
We do
But
want to talk about the
just
challenges.
to continue with the positive side, as far as being on the same page with my ex-wife. As far as after we broke up, we still wanted to make sure that the children, we were on in the same page, in alignment with what we wanted to teach and impart on them, as far as principles, morals, things like that. Even things like their diet, their dress, and things like that. So we were pretty much on the same page with that. Having gaining a bonus daughter with Ashley, and learning different styles of parenting with
Mm.
Steph. It was just them. So again, when you have blended families coming in together, and they might be used to certain things, so all of that takes some time to understand and adjust to. So I'll stop right there, and I'll defer to you and anything you want to add.
I think we're a great example of how different styles can blend. Julie and I were raised very differently. My parents have been married 55 years. They're still together. They're old school, very old school. Julian and I were both sort of raised in the South. So I was raised in the South, Bible Belt, very, very strong Bible Belt, church every Sunday. So when I came to DC, it was just like this cultural awakening because a lot of the things that happened here I'd never seen before. So when I mentioned our styles blending and making sure that we're making the right decision for our kids, that's what it's about. It's not about what do I want. It's not about what do we need as parents. We do put ourselves first when we can, but it's about what is the best decision for the children, what will work well for them, and what do they need and require. And then we're here to support them. I tell people that I'm a servant leader at work. And I also like to empower my kids at home and give them the tools that they need so that they can be successful and healthy physically and healthy emotionally. And that's what we foster here. So our kids know that when they come here, they're always entering a safe space. And I think at the end of the day, if we can ensure that in our children, always give them a safe space, a safe home base to come to, then we'll be successful.
Yeah. If we can just add,
Right.
as far as making a safe space. So my youngest son, our youngest son, he actually sees a counselor and has been seeing a counselor therapist, if you will, for the better part of 2 years now to help him navigate, going back and forth between two different households with, different rules and dynamics. In one house, he's the only child and it's all about him. And he's the center of his mother's world. But when he comes here, he's had siblings, and we've all got things going on. So that was an adjustment for him. And then, our bonus daughter, she started receiving counseling. We wish we would have done that sooner because, when we're talking about co-parenting, her father, her biological isn't, involved. So, that introduced, another thing to deal with as well. So.
Got it. And I like that you brought that up, Julian, about the different rules in different households, because that can sometimes be quite an adjustment for kids in terms of how you navigate being in different spaces and learning different things, and then having your world change when you go across the street. Now you're in a different space. Anybody else have anything with respect to how you manage that with your kids being in your space and having to deal with adjusting to here and then going to a co-parent space and doing something completely different? How are you supporting your kids in making that adjustment?
I actually would like to answer that because
Okay.
I was, and I'm going to say was co-parenting. Right now, I just consider myself a single parent at this point. But I know I had situation where our diets were just completely different. When we were married, this is what we ate in the house. But then once we got divorced, then the pork was introduced. So, my son was eating bacon and I was
And you
having
was dying.
fits. I was like, what the?
Yeah.
I'm eating garbage, but I really had to let it go. So it was definitely a lesson in letting go. Like, I ate a little pork growing up. I can't. You got to pick your battles. Like, which one is really going to, which one of these battles is really worth the discussion? And I chose to just leave it alone. I'm like, shit, he only over there every other weekend. It's gonna be what it's gonna be because it just won't work my health. So for me to get to that place, that was me put it instead. I hear people saying you have to what's best for the child. You also have to pick. You have to do what's best for you in the long run because if you're not well, then they're not gonna be well. You
Right.
definitely have to take care of yourself first in order to take care of them. So for me, screaming and hollering about a piece of bacon,
And you can't change it. You can't change it at all.
yeah,
You
Right.
I'm
can
like,
control it. You can't change the habits
yeah,
in
right.
that house.
Why am I wasting my time?
Right. Right.
I,
And
Exactly.
I
go
think one
ahead.
of the best advice that we received and that we give to my bonus son, Julian's son, is if it happens in this house, it stays in this house. If it happens in your mother's house, it should stay in her house. And the reason we were told that, and we try to really make that genuine, is that if something happens here when you're with us and you call your mom, what can she do? You're not in any danger. You're not being physically harmed. So you're just going to have her worry until you're back in her care. So you're safe, you're healthy here. and let's keep it here as a family. So I think that has helped with hopefully establishing boundaries, because I think every relationship should have boundaries and they should be healthy, even between parent and child.
Mm-hmm.
Got it. I can hear that. Yeah,
That's the
I can
good
hear
one
You
that.
too.
know,
And also
if
to that point, you know, when you're bouncing between two different households, and the child knows that the parents aren't on the best of terms,
Manipulation.
there's room for them manipulation there, and
Mm-hmm.
that's what he was attempting to do,
Yeah.
calling his mother about things that were going on over here, and vice versa. So
Yeah. And yeah, you sound like you were about to jump in and say something.
yeah, it's funny. Everything that I'm hearing and processing while as we're talking, they're very the things that happen in a co-parenting relationship where the parents are not together are very similar to the things that happen in a co-parenting relationship where the parents are together. I mean, my marriage has some of the same dynamics and shall we say rules or ways of perspectives that to keep in mind as my co-parenting relationship. And one of them is it's important to respect your mother. Period. Respect your mother. So, and mind you, my wife does things different than I do.
Mm-hmm.
My former wife does things different than I do, and I've got to respect both of them. I mean, when I say got to is relative. I get to respect both of them. But they are both important to the survival and the sanity of us all.
Mm. Right. Yeah.
My
I like
my
the way you
rule
put that.
was send them home breathing.
That part. That part. You
Just send
go
them
ahead.
home breathing.
Yeah.
Because I'm bossy. I'm an Aries. I'm bossy. I'm like, they stay with me most of the time. And same thing, no pork, no this, no that. And at some point, for sanity, I was like, you could sit pork's behind, pork skins, I don't care. They could drink soda, pop, whatever you want them to do. Just send them home breathing, because trying to micromanage his house in Texas and then manage my own house and my own sanity just was that wasn't worth the effort. And that it also gave us empowerment. And I realized, because I thought I was the better parent, this is talking about the older two. And I realized I did. I'm like, I'm more financially fit. I'm more spiritually grounded. I'm more yada, yada, yada. I'm more, nah, nah, nah. So a lot of ego involved. And I realized like he has something to offer. And it doesn't have to look like what I have to offer. And I needed to
Right.
learn that space. And by them being 26 and 22 now, I see the results and the evidence of me allowing them to, just be with him the way that he's with them. I wanted him to maintain my rules because they was with me all the time, but it worked out better letting them go, let him be authentic to himself, and me minding my freaking business.
Yeah.
Mind your
Yeah.
goddamn business. Yes.
There you go.
Thank you, Sonia. Thank you.
Yeah.
Because, and I'll say this, um, my ex-husband used to manipulate me by calling me and telling me what was going on with them. And I had to set a boundary and say, if they not fucking in the hospital, do not call me. I don't give
Mm.
a fuck. Because it would interrupt what I'm doing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Don't
Right.
that every
Again with
other
the
weekend,
boundaries.
I don't know who's willing to admit this, but I look forward to my every other weekend to do what the hell I want to do. I mean, I really did. I needed it.
Yeah.
Being, those 4 days a month were important to my sanity. So I had to say, look, unless they bleeding or in the hospital, do
Amen.
not call me. You need to handle it. And that was I said, handle it. Click.
Yeah.
I don't want to
Yeah.
hear it. Don't
I
tell
think
me.
I want to
I,
I want to
oh, go
jump
ahead,
in and
yeah.
give a quick shout out to my wife who has helped me co-parent my oldest two very, very well. She's been an exceptional co-parent. And one time I was about to call her a step parent and I was like, that don't fit. That doesn't fit
Mm,
you or the characterization that's often given to step parents. She has done an exceptional job. So
mm.
big ups to my wife, Hasana.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, yes, yes. Big ups, Hasada. Yes. And I wanted to just also with respect to the transition. One of the things that I came across a video on TikTok of this parent. She's kind of known for gentle parenting. And one of the things that she says she does when she gets her daughter back, and her daughter was, I think, somewhere around 7, 8, 9-ish age range. that she said when she gets her back, she tries to refrain from going immediately into, okay, this is what we need to get doing. What are you doing? Either chastising her or maybe correcting her, and instead having something that helps acclimate her back to your home. You're back in this space. Let's have some fun. She usually has something fun planned with her so that they can kind of reestablish their relationship first, because sometimes, it's so easy to fall into the role of authoritarian and not consider how challenging it is for kids to actually make that transition. So to support her in making the transition, she tries to do something a lot more like togetherish. Before she's saying, okay, now, did you put your backpack up? Did you do this? Did you do that? So I kind of liked hearing that too, in terms of, how we get to support their psyches in making the transition.
But
That's cool.
get this, that is what is important to do, as far as I'm concerned, with any relationship. When when we walk into the house, and I've had this conversation with my wife, and I have this conversation with myself. When I walk into the house, I believe my role, responsibility, my charge is to honor my family, to let them, I want them to associate me with loving them, with caring about them, not associate me entering the house with chastising, anger, disappointment. I want them to, when I enter, I want them to want to see me. I wrote a blog called something, Are You Glad I'm Home? And it goes to that exact thing. So if you twist that a little bit and put it on the co-parenting situation, it ends up being, allow your child to come in the house. Just come in, do whatever they want to do, and be comfortable. And then at some point, 20 minutes, an hour later, consciously, after you've let them be, and after you've let them know that they're welcome, and you've really you've embraced them, you've given them the love that you want them to have, then you can talk about whatever you're bothered with, if you must.
Right. Got it. I can hear that. Just in terms of relationships, period.
Yeah. We were talking about boundaries earlier, and when you dealing with multiple parents, we've encountered some things where Stephanie, Frank recognized this. Why I definitely want to recognize Stephanie, because she's been awesome with my 4 kids that I bring to the family, and she's embraced them and she loves them as her own. But with the challenge is, there are things that in the relationship that she's established with them, and the things she might want to do, but there's a boundary there because their mother is in their lives, and that might be something that she might want to do for them. So Stephanie has a good relationship with their mother, and they can talk about things. Wasn't always like that from the beginning. There was a learning curve there, to find out, okay, for things like this. And actually, Stephanie, I'll let you speak to that, your experience with that,
Oh, I think it's like building any relationship. You have to establish trust. And it's not something that you could just open the door and say, I'm the new bonus mother, trust me. It's something that has to be built. And I think once we establish that trust, like you do in any relationship, then the relationship can truly begin. And it took some time to work up to it, but I think we're at a really good place. And it's good because I think coming into the relationship, Julian's ex-wife is in a good, happy place. She's happy where she is. And so that allows, and she also allows me to add to her children. And as Julian said, there are boundaries there. And it's just like a really good team, any sporting team, basketball, football, everyone has a position. And what makes them great is they know their role and they do their job. And I know mine and I do it well. So
Yes,
I think that's a big
All
point.
right,
Right.
I do it well.
One of the things.
Doing it well.
Right. Go ahead, Corinne.
Oh, one of the things that I did kind of on the Stephanie side as the mother when they, so I allowed my daughters, one for 3 years to move with their father in Texas for the last 3 years of high school, and the other one for 2 years. One of the hardest things I've ever done, but one of the most empowering things I think I've ever done for my kids. So now they have bonus moms on that side. And one of the best things I ever did was pull the mothers aside, the girlfriends or whatever aside, and talk to them between mothers. Because what he was trying to navigate was some fuck shit.
Oh, okay.
It was terrible. It was terrible. It was absolutely terrible. Soon as I did one of these, and he had 2 girlfriends only in probably 10 years. And the first one, there was an issue. And I'm like, I don't understand this. He says, you don't want me at the house. And that don't make no sense. I'm not comfortable with my kids being somewhere that I can't be. Not that I have to be there, but you're telling me I can't. She said, I never said that. We talked for 3 hours, got on the same page, got really close, no more problems. Second girlfriend, he's engaged to now, still in their lives, bonus mom. We went to Starbucks. We talked for 3 hours because there was some consternation there. And I'm like, this is ridiculous. Talked, got woman to woman about it. And I said, you have full permission, as Stephanie said, to add to my children's life. I am not in doubt of who I am in my children's life. We do not have a competition. It's not a possibility. I'm not competing with you. But if you love my children and you want to support them, go for it. But all of this other bullshit, I'm not interested in. I'm not going to have these conversations with you. And as soon as I got out of eye with her, she and I are closer than me and him.
Okay.
We like this. I don't need to talk to him no more. Every time I go to Texas, she and I go out and hang out and go get the nails done and go with the girls.
I know that's right.
I don't bother him no more. But while he was managing it, it was some utter bullshit.
Right.
You know, he's a good guy and I love him, but I was like, you don't know how to manage this. I got it.
So how do you manage when the other co-parent is introducing new people into your child's life? I don't know if y'all, do you have that situation?
I haven't had that situation to date. I do believe that it's important to work to cultivate a relationship with the other, with the partner, that with your exes, if you want to call it that, partner. And the closest I've come to that is I work to have a relationship with my former wife's family. Now, I don't go out of the way, but my former wife's brother works as a coach at a university down south. We were in the area. I took the children to see him. Now, he and I were never close. We still not close, but he has my number and I have his number. And he's called me when things got a little confusing to him, and I answer the call, and I took the kids to him, to their grandmother. I work to call her on her birthday. I don't do it all the time, but work to call her on her birthday and honor her. So I haven't had the experience that you asked directly about, but I can speak to it a little bit by way of honoring the relationships on that side.
Right.
I will say one thing that worked for a little while. It worked here and there, but when we got a divorce, we actually put parenting parameters in the divorce decree. So there were things like the kids can't call someone else mommy, that specific. Or if you plan on being with someone, if you're dating someone and you're planning on it being long term, there has to be a formal meeting between the other parent. So I've had his girlfriends come over here, we talk. One of when the situation was decent, he had one girlfriend. We actually traveled together. You know, we were on the same. Our girls were the same age. We shared hotel rooms. That was nice. You know, but that turned a little sour later. But just being able to reference a document or some type of agreement to say, this is what is important to me, and can you agree to this? And if you can't, then you negotiate. So I know I wanted to meet whatever one. You're not gonna have my kids as some random. If you out here in the street, I just don't want my kids meeting everybody. Just the ones that you're serious about. So I think that's another option, to actually have some type of parental agreement.
Yeah, to
Right.
that,
I
to
don't
that
like
point.
rules.
Go ahead, Julian.
Oh, yeah, and to that point, my ex-wife and I, we agreed that we wouldn't bring the kids around anyone unless, we thought it was serious, maybe after 6 months or so, because we didn't want to bring people in and out of their lives like that, because kids can get attached. And to Pa's point about, putting stuff in a court order, when it gets to that level, that's when, it's unfortunate. I'm blessed that with my ex-wife, we had a court order, but we didn't have to deal with the court after the divorce was final. Everything was we can talk and raise these kids. It's the exact opposite with my son's mother. Everything I've been in and out of court because the way she's trying to uh, dictate and control the way I'm going to be involved in my son. And then it's like just even until as recent as 2 weeks ago, I had to give the principal of his new school a court order that says she is supposed to give me access. I am supposed to have access to all the school records and medical records and things like that because she wouldn't give it to me, even though it's a court order. And this is an amended court order because I had to, like I said, in and out of court with her. Everything has to be documented. And she's an attorney by trade herself, so she exploits every little loophole. If I want to, I could go back to court. She's been found not in compliance about things. So it's really unfortunate when you have to depend on the courts to raise your children. It shouldn't be that way, unfortunately.
Right.
Speaking of that really quickly, FERPA is lists of federal regulations around education, and you really didn't. As far as I know, my wife is a FERPA expert. As far as I know, and what she communicates to me, and what she even showed someone years ago when the issue came up, that's not something that you had to go to court over if you are a parent. If you are a custodial parent, I'm not sure if you're a legal parent. Even my current wife, has access to his educational records because she is a parent. She helps to parent him through our relationship. So that's FERPA. That's the law. And I wish we would have had this conversation prior to that.
Got it. And so you saying it's FERPA, and how is that?
FERPA.
Okay,
Similar to
FERPA.
HIPAA on the health side.
Got it. Got it. Got it. So that gives just parents rights and access to that information, is what you're saying.
Absolutely.
Okay, awesome. So that's good to know. Thank you.
I just be wanting to do karate on people's forehead when they act like that.
Listen,
Right. It's dumb. It's like
it's unnecessary. It's the control thing, and it's also
a control thing.
yeah,
It
and
is.
it's being spiteful too, and
yeah, absolutely.
unnecessarily because you're harming the child possibly in the process. But some people don't care that you're harming the child because you're just trying to be spiteful. We know that people sometimes even use their children as pawns and when they're trying to get back at somebody that they're angry with. So that's that's the unfortunate reality.
Yeah, to the point.
Yeah.
Stephanie alluded to it earlier when she said my ex-wife is in a good place. So, it was easier to deal with her. Whereas my son's mother, she's still very bitter. 7 years later, still very angry and just nasty and doing things like I mentioned, trying to deny access and all of that. I have to be real diligent about making sure I'm involved and aware of what's going on with my son. So,
Right.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. Yeah.
And I've been knowing True a long time. True
she
is
knows
about
it.
his kids. And I know he knows if she watching.
Oh Lord, you about to threaten the woman through the camera.
Like, no, Boz, don't do it, Boz. It's okay, don't do it.
Don't do it.
Shout out to keep doing the work, because some people be like, too much trouble, I forget
Right,
it. Do it by yourself. Do it by yourself. Yeah.
Keep it 100. Sometimes, it's not me, and I would never do it. But I understand why some brothers throw their hands up when they have, because it's a lot. It's a lot on Stephanie. Because sometimes it can cause some tension between us. Because I get off the phone with her, or not the phone because we don't talk, because everything's text messages or emails. But I have some correspondence with her, and now I'm in a real negative, nasty mood, and I got to make sure I don't bring that around Stephanie. She can always tell when something's off with me. So.
And I like to present the flip side of that. For me, as far as the control issues, I was pushing for my kids to spend time, with my ex-husband. I was the one pushing, and I was like, "You come get him whenever you want it." He rarely went outside his weekends unless I asked him, literally begged him to do that. And I was pushing a relationship on particularly my son. And he just told my son is 16. He told me, stop it. He told me, just stop it. He was like, you are hurting me by continuing to force me to be around this person who I know doesn't want to be bothered with me.
Oh,
And it
wow.
hurt my heart. It hurt my heart. So, but I had to let that go because I really wanted, them to have this relationship.
Yeah.
So that was the biggest lesson I learned from my son was like, you can't force this shit.
Yeah.
Just let it go. Let it go. He said, stop. He said the exact words he said were, I feel like every time you do this, you're setting me up to fail and to be hurt.
Oh, wow.
Mm.
That was
Yeah.
really mature of him to be able to voice that. And then, two, of course, for you to hear that and say,
It was
okay, so,
hurtful. It was
yeah.
hurtful.
Yeah.
I'm from Nightboard, New Orleans. I picked up the phone like, you motherfucker. I was so mad. But after I grew,
Right.
after last night, it didn't make me feel better cussing him out. It just made me feel worse. I acted emotionally, but it was very hurtful. It was very, very hurtful.
You said
So
something
Well,
so important there. Two words I live by, which are lessons learned. And not only learning from each experience, each unfortunate situation, but how can I build on it? And I use it with Julian's ex to build that trust. I'm not perfect. I made a lot of mistakes. I've never been in a situation before. As a matter of fact, I was adamant I'm not getting married again. Leave me alone, Julian. I'm good. I don't want to get married. And I said that over and over and over again. And here I am now, 5 years, 4.
GTD.
Yeah. Can you give me some techniques on how to deal with that? I don't.
that's a different show, Stephanie. That's a different show.
well, but I don't know
You
what
know
that
I'm trying to
acronym
stop
is.
cussing. I'm trying to stop cussing, and he
You
keeps
on the wrong
pulling me back.
you on the
Every
wrong
time I get out, he pulls me back in.
He pulls you back in. I don't know what the
Put it
acronym
in the
is
private
either.
chat. Y'all say he don't know what it means. Put it in the private chat.
You don't know what GTD stand for?
Oh my God.
I'm too old, I guess.
No.
That's from Martin. That's not. Oh,
Yeah.
we ain't you the only ones. Damn.
That's the same thing they asked Martin. What is
We've been
GT?
friends for so long. I heard you.
That's when you run to the Urban Dictionary on Google and be
Right.
like, Urban Dictionary, tell me what the young people know that I don't know, because I have no clue. Yeah.
And
Okay.
it's GTD. G is in George, T is in Tom, D is in David.
Yes.
We are
Yeah.
not.
Yeah.
I just told you what it
Oh, oh,
means.
I didn't. Okay, I'm sorry.
I'm glad you don't know what that
Yeah.
means. I'm glad you don't know.
We will have a. We will
At
save this for.
9:01. Trust me.
Well, you
We'll
I
got
stay
can
on
imagine
afterwards and get
you
what
got
the
the
load
GTD
at
too.
is.
get that something.
No,
But
got the draws. Got the
oh,
draws.
got the draws. All right, all right, all right. I remember that episode of Martin where Tommy was like, "Got the draws, got the." All right, all right, all right, all
We
right.
got it.
Now,
That's
okay.
funny.
But we're gonna
Yeah.
move forward. Sis.
Pa-
True is
Oh, wait,
I
wait.
know Stephanie probably punching him. We can't see her arm over there.
Yeah, I
Let's talk about the healthy. The healthy. What is some? We've already kind of talked about some of the things. Creating boundaries, establishing boundaries, making sure you're doing things that have the children's best interests when you can. What are some of some practices you all have incorporated into your co-parenting
to
that
make
have
it healthy.
worked that you would like to share with folks out here?
I want to jump in right there on the boundaries real quick. And I, you may have heard me say this before, but I don't really do boundaries. I do sensitivity. And so I'm much more interested in being sensitive and to the people in my life than I am creating boundaries of where they get to stop and where they get to stop around me and what they can't do around me. I want them to just simply be sensitive to me, and I want to be sensitive to them. And that's about as far as I go with boundaries. Boundaries to me they're predetermined. They're predetermined things that I have decided I'm going to not stand for or be less loving if they occur. And I don't want to predetermine anything. I can just be sensitive in the moment, and if I'm cool with it, I'm cool with it. If I'm not, I'm not, and I get to be able to relay both. So that's just, on the positive side, sensitivity is very important to a effective co-parenting relationship.
We're on the same page. I need you to be sensitive to my boundaries. Same
Right.
thing.
I
And I
I
think
I I,
boundaries
I
come in many different definitions. So you could
agree.
have a cement block or you could have a bubble. And for me, I'm in a bubble. And when I'm in that bubble, I'll let you know. But even for Julian and I, it's okay. Like, I think it helps us to move forward positively in our relationships. If we need a minute, we take a minute. We know we're going on date night. Nothing else is going to mess with that. Leave us alone. We're in our little bubble. So I would never, though, even when we're talking to our kids, if our kids are in the home, it's never something where we're rude to them or we say get away, but it is something we establish. Like, there's certain things. Don't knock on my door at 1 a.m. Don't knock on our door at 12 at night unless someone's bleeding or hurt. You should be asleep. So it's just one of those things that we've learned that we're communicating to them over the last 5-6 years that I've gotten to know as children.
Yeah, I
I
agree.
was
I was
gonna
about to
say,
say it too. I was about to say that, Stephanie. Thank you. Yeah. Go
I
ahead.
was gonna say, the four assumptions, and one of those by Don Miguel Ruiz is don't make assumptions. The four agreements, I'm sorry.
Agree.
And kind of segueing out of the last part of the conversation, we had a healthy thing that I do is not to make assumptions. We're going to communicate directly. Going to the spending time with the kids, I made assumptions. Why isn't he showing up? Why isn't he spending time with them? Why doesn't it this way? So when I had a heart to heart conversation, and said, dude, why are you, I'm always got to take my father to take them to Six Flags, or I got to, where are you? I don't have any. And I found out that he did not want to go because he didn't have the money. So I'm correlating it to like, whatever, you ain't shit, or you don't show up, or da 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 da. And he has this mental breakdown. So I made an assumption that was getting in the way of their connection. Now I'm able to say, here goes some gas money, in a very humane way, not to make him feel less than. Here goes some gas money. You can stay at the house when you come, whatever, so we can have that time. But maybe I took them 8 times. He never went for an assumption and not just asking a direct question. And that's very correlative with the little one, because it's 6 people. You can't make no assumptions about why people are doing stuff, who shot John, whatever. You have to go direct or choose your battles, or it's going to be a breakdown. We've had that over the years, and we've built trust and communication and boundaries in order not to try to micromanage each other's households. But very quickly, I just had a discussion with one of the parents that I think it's about time, just based on my veteran status, because nobody else has kids, that we have to get on that one accord. Because she's 9 and it's about to go down. Okay, if we're not all like having separate fun things to do and disciplines in different households, at 9 is working out pretty decently, but they ain't gonna cut it with them when them digits turn into 2 digits. So
Got it.
Corinne, I can assure you, it's about to go down.
it's about
It happens. It happens when you got 2 parents in the house. It's about to go down. So
exactly.
yeah, you got it. It's about to go down.
And it's nothing bad. They're just coming into their own. They're not trying to. It's prepubescence. They're not trying to emulate you anymore. They're trying to identify who they are, and that's going to buck up against you having all that control. So we'll see. I'm praying for the best.
And I'm curious, as what you just shared, Corinne. I'm curious about with your co-parent who didn't have the money. I'm curious as to where the possibility of like he ain't had the money, so he didn't want to take them. What if what if a parent just doesn't do that? I don't take my kids to the amusement park. Hell, even if I have the money, I ain't doing that shit.
Right. But that's about communication, because that was his reason. I didn't make assumptions that what his reason was wrong. It's just I couldn't figure out why he didn't want to show up, and that was the reason that he expressed, and I just take it for what it's worth. But no, he would show up. He'd come to the house and be with them, but I had expectations that he was supposed to be doing them. Luckily, I have good friends, and somebody told me it doesn't matter if he comes to the house and they want him. They don't want him in the amusement park. They don't want him at the park. They don't want him doing anything. And I have this beautiful picture of them laying on him on the couch sleeping. that I cherish because she taught me that, and not to put so much attachment in all the shit I do. Take them to the park and and down to the Washington Monument. And I thought that was what a good father was. And I have a picture. They're probably they're 4 years apart, so they're probably like 6 and 10, and they're just laying on him sleep. And everybody's happy. The girls are excited, and they just want their daddy. And I learned a big lesson that day. I was in my 30s, so I learned a valuable lesson.
Got it. I just want to take a quick second because I know we're about to start wrapping up the hour, but just to acknowledge our comments. One, we had a comment: men get that prostate checked. So yes, in addition to the breasts, make sure you're getting your prostate checked. There was a comment that 2 people is good, more is great. Love healthy boundaries, and this is really some good information to help with co-parenting. So thank you guys for all of the information that you're giving, because of course we all get to learn as a community how to do a better job of parenting these children. So
Tanya, in addition to getting that finger in your ass, brothers and sisters, get your A1C check, get your cholesterol check, and know your blood pressure, and be on top of all of that. All of that's important.
Got it. All right.
Because ain't no parents if you got diabetes, your
right.
ass is short.
Leaving the children as orphans. Right. Leaving them as orphans.
Yep. And that is a very important thing. It's funny that became a part of my co-parenting situation as well. The lack of maintaining good health. I remember being away out of town, and my ex had my children, and he ended up in the intensive care because his glucose. He went into diabetic. He was near death.
Oh wow!
Because of his health. So I thank you for that health plug, because that should be part of the co-parenting plan, that you put your health first, and also you should instill some of that in the kids. I mean, it would be great. Although I talked about eating bacon and shit.
Well, keep in mind, Pos, that same issue would have existed if you all were together. He'd have been in the same hospital, most likely.
Yes.
That day.
But my kids wouldn't have been.
My kids would have had no bacon.
What y'all saying is true. One of the best, I know we closing out, one of the best pieces of advice I ever got from a friend who had co-parented before me, and she said, "You chose him."
Yeah,
you chose
there you go.
him. And I went to the Michelle Obama becoming thing, and I heard Barack say that he had in Michelle because he knew she'd be a good parent and she'd be a good partner, a good friend, and a good teammate. I ain't put that much damn effort into my relationship. We did it. I got pregnant. We together. So we went about it like, keep it real. That's what the fuck happened. So now you want to be all like, that wasn't a good choice. You gotta figure you fucked that up. You didn't plan well. You didn't, you know what I'm saying? You didn't go, hey, what do you like? Da da da. Do you even want kids? Right. We didn't have no conversation, but all of a sudden now we're supposed to be, she said you chose him. He was not forced upon you. You had no arranged marriage. You chose him, and this is what not like I'm punished, but this is your choices.
Yeah, so the consequences of your choices. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll tell you one thing that happened that kind of shifted my relationship with my daughter. I actually apologized for my choice. I was like, I'm so sorry you're going through this. I chose, I wish I chosen differently, but this is what it is. I apologize. And she said that really changed her life.
Oh wow.
It really shifted. I mean, it was a clear shift. Because I was like, I gotta take responsibility for my choices. Mm-hmm. This nigga's some bullshit. You know what I'm saying? Wherever I was, thank God I ain't. You know what I'm saying? But I apologize.
Yeah.
So really being responsible about your choices, and that statement, you chose this person. Mm-hmm. It shifts things. It's like, damn. So
there's a lot there, Pos.
It's a whole lot there.
Like to apologize as though we made a mistake, instead of being like that wasn't a mistake. It was just what I did. Period.
No, I apologize for how she felt in my part in that. For her experience.
For her experience, yeah.
I think it's just language. It's just accountability. I mean, you can say I feel accountable for, but you talking to a child, I apologize. I get it.
And if it changes our relationship as a result, or changes how she feels about the situation, I do it over and over again.
Okay.
So
I get it.
I didn't say it like it was it is what it is. I do.
I'm about to say because it brought her here. Because we know that if it wasn't the two of y'all, it wouldn't be a her.
I wouldn't change a thing.
Yeah, and though this is
and it's some bullshit.
And it's some bullshit. I acknowledge that with you.
Well, it's worth making sure. I think the audience might get a bit confused because we're talking about two different people. So you were talking about your ex-husband versus her dad. And I guess what you were apologizing to her was about her dad, the relationship.
First of all, no. What you're talking about is two different things.
Okay. I apologize.
Yeah, you need to apologize.
All right. I was confused.
You're right.
Yeah, it's not your words, pause. I hear it. I don't hear blame. I don't hear anything. I get the essence of regardless of your words or what you were communicating to your daughter, and she received it. So that's what's powerful.
She received it. So the ultimate, the big picture.
Pops, I used to think that way too. Ashley's biological father he does the best that he can or tries to. And I used to be in a space where, why did I choose that? Why did I do that? But I strongly believe that what the devil intended to be evil, the Lord used for good. And that has happened. And I have examples of that throughout my entire life. So if I hadn't met him and had Ashley, I would have never met Julian. So I believe that everything works in the order that it's supposed to work. Because I met Julian at a softball game. And if I didn't have Ashley, I wouldn't be there because I wouldn't have a child that played softball. So
I think I brought it home. That was But yes, I totally agree with you, Stephanie. Yeah. Everything happens in divine order.
Oh, that's beautiful stuff.
Even we don't understand, child.
Exactly. Someone says, I will say that I try not and project my own expectations of my ex based on who my father was to me. There are many different types of fathers. I don't have to control their relationship. They have to figure it out. I can give feedback, but they have to work on their relationship, and he will be the father he chooses to be.
There you go.
So, we're at 8:58. So we are coming to a close.
Yes.
I think I love everybody on this panel.
Yeah, right. This was nice.
I really love everybody on this panel. So thank you guys for coming and
I'm about to say, well, I'd love for everybody to leave it like with one last thing. What's your last this? If I could leave viewers with anything, what would you say for your last bit of advice?
I'm just wondering why I hadn't seen Pause in over 2 years. That's what I'm wondering.
Oh, okay.
Pandemic.
Pretty much.
Do I have an invitation? Am I getting an invitation? Okay.
Please. My advice, don't give up.
Don't give up.
It's a marathon. It is not a race. Don't
give up. Yes. That's good. Anybody else?
And don't ever say GTD.
Uh-oh.
GTD.
Wait, Julia.
Run around.
She looked right at you when you said don't ever. All right. Anybody else have a jewel to drop for closing words?
I don't know if it's a jewel, but the challenges, the culture that we create in our relationship when we're together will only be magnified when we're apart. And so do your best to take care of each other when you're together. Okay. The good and the bad. The bad will be worse. So work together as best you can while you're together.
I would say I believe in spiritual capital, and just like real money, you have to figure out if you can afford it. Is it worth the withdrawal? And a lot of times with co-parenting, it really isn't. And you should be pouring into that familial capital account, the joint bank accounts, instead of trying to rip it down. It's just not worth it. The piece of bacon ain't worth it.
The piece of bacon. The bacon is not worth it. And Julian, did you have anything you wanted to add?
I'll just say I just turned 50, and one thing I realized is that I spent the majority of my adult life taking care of children. And, one thing I reflect on is the fact that, looking at some of my children now, I don't know if they really appreciate the sacrifices that I made. So with that said, with my son, he's 11, you know, make sure you still live your life too, you know.
Yes.
We want to raise the babies and make sure they're fine and everything, but also live your life as well.
Yes, goodness. That's a whole word right there. All right. So thank you everybody again for joining us. Just as a reminder to everybody, we go live every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern for No Bra Wednesday, where we let the girls loose and we hear some wisdom get dropped. As a reminder, you want to make sure you join us next Wednesday because we will be talking about business credit and how to use other people's money to get ahead. Hello, so you want to make sure you join us for that, for Money Moves with Paz, and subscribe to our YouTube channel and send your friends over if somebody missed this show and you know that they get to have parenting advice. Share the show with them by all means. All right, so and we will see you guys next Wednesday on No Bra Wednesday.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Don't log on yet. Wait till we close out.
All right, exactly. Oh, wait. And then girl, because then I turned it on.
You got the credits rolling yet?
Fresh out the oven, straight to the bank. Ben's Hager smelling like bang. Seats, somebody died on them. Kitty looking like somebody cried on it. Ooh, what you looking at? What you looking at? Body like cinnamon roll, icing on the top. If